Hello again. I'm Wayward. Welcome back to the Faction Showdown. After, I admit, far too long, been a little busy with a tiny little side project of mine called Tempest Rising. I'll put a link in the match description to our announce video. Might be of interest to some of you. Anyway, this is round 3 of the Faction Showdown, the losers bracket. Round 1 of the Faction Showdown. How many times am I going to say Faction Showdown? That's a question I don't even know the answer to, but I'm sure it's going to be at least one or two too many. Anyway, round 1 had Xset squaring off against Mermixer, Human versus Shroud. That gave a win to the Human faction. Round 2 was Goo as Elfire versus Beta, played by Hendronimus. Hendro ended up winning that one, giving the win to the Beta. Now, it's the losers bracket, Elfire versus Mermixer. We'll have to see whether the Shroud or the Goo end up coming out on top. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll catch you in our first match in just one moment. Hello, and welcome to round 1 of round 3 of the Grey Goo Faction Showdown. To the south is Elfire, our blue Goo player, and to the north is Mermixer, our blue and gold Shroud. I actually kind of like this color scheme a lot. So yeah, this is Battle Wasteland. This is an interesting map. Not entirely sure which faction is considered to be favored on this one. There are some good spots for Goo, but the different catalyst deposits are quite far apart from each other, which I think favors Shroud a little bit. Shroud do like to spread out and do some crazy economy stuff if they are allowed to do so. So Shroud cannot afford to play this matchup defensively. They can't afford to be greedy, even on a larger map like Battle Wasteland. So right out the gate, Mermixer has gone for 3 advents, going to be putting the pressure on Mr. Elfire. Elfire, for his part, is way up in the middle with his one mother, looking, I don't know, maybe to be aggressive with this. That's what I kind of am trying to read here. Yeah, he's continuing. He's going past the center line of the map right now, coming way up into his opponent's territory. But this is a lot of advents. There's 5 already. Actually, I could do the structures tab, can't I? Yep, 5 advents. 2 extractors. There's one off here to the right, and then one here, of course, in the main base. A 6th advent coming down, and 4 mothers already for Elfire. So both players looking to be able to do some aggression really early on. This is interesting. I want to see. So Mermixer actually does see this. He reacts in time to save that Mimic. Very cool. Elfire is not going to pursue that line of attack wisely. Interestingly, at this point, there are no... Gosh, Wayward, where is your brain? What are they called? Amplifiers. There's no amplifiers yet. It's just the 6 advents. I don't know the over-under on the cost of the amplifier versus how many advents you've got running, but obviously Mermixer seems to know his stuff, so I guess more advents is advantageous over having amplifiers at this point. Got a couple of Proteans coming out. 4 is a pretty decent number for a little bit of harass there on that one mother for Mermixer. But yeah, quite a large drover army. We've got a couple of clashers out right now. Yeah, so it looks like it's constant drover production right now. The Mimic is still not cleaned up, actually, and this Mama it does have some HP banked up, but is not continuing to bank up HP at this point. Elfire continuing to move his mothers into a more aggressive posture way up near his opponent's base. On the back of this, though, I notice that we have a third extractor down in goo territory. Now, this is actually a position that Elfire would want to use defensively, were he being defensive. Okay, so we've got a bunch of drovers in here. Let's take a quick switch over to the unit tab. There are 25 drovers right now. Now, they're not all in combat at once. They've kind of been trickling in, but those clashers are going down. This is great for Mermixer if he wins. I'm sorry. Great job, Wayward. This is great for Elfire if he wins this, but it's going to be hard to capitalize on this since drovers are so bad at killing buildings. Now, we do have 7 advents, and there's a single amplifier now. It looks like it's got a couple of those advents. There's 3 of them. But yeah, it's going to take forever to kill the advent, so it's going to be really hard for Elfire to capitalize on this advantage he has. And over time, he's just going to be bleeding drovers. Now, he does have a lot of them. We do see some striders starting to come in. Striders do a little bit better against buildings than drovers, which will help Elfire immensely. Yeah, this is a really tough spot for Mermixer. He's going to potentially lose this extractor thanks to the striders. Yeah, really well played, well executed by Elfire. Looking pretty hopeless for Mermixer at this point, especially there's only 3 striders now, but additional strider production is going to make this pretty bad for our Shroud player. It is going to be almost impossible for Mermixer to save this. The amplifier could be upgraded to a turret. He does have some resources to be able to do that. It's fairly damaged, though. At this point in the game, it may be a little late. We have now 7 mothers, actually, coming out. On the back of this, he was not building additional striders. He was expanding, and this is a nutso, that's the technical term, a nutso, going to double down on that, economic advantage for Elfire. Another extractor is being whittled away. We have these strider teams hunting out additional extractors to ensure that Mermixer can't expand off the back of this. Now, from a game design perspective, as an RTS designer myself, one thing that does frustrate me about watching Grey Goo played at the highest level is I feel like it's prone to these situations where the player that's ahead is able to very easily capitalize on continuing to get ahead, especially early in the game like this. Towards the mid game, if both players manage to remain on even footing, you can get these situations where you can lose a decent percentage of what you have and be able to come back in. But I view this as kind of a fragile game state. Now, one thing I do like that I think Petroglyph did a pretty good job with is, the fight winning with units with the drovers is really hard to turn into absolutely winning the game. But as we saw for, 4 minutes, there were drovers in this base killing every single unit that came out. Now that Mermixer does have howlers, he was able to whittle those striders and drovers down. He's able to start taking this back. Now, however, he only has 2 extractors. One of them is being pulled up here. One of them is hiding down in the corner here. I actually said this was an obvious spot for it, but it looks like poor Elfire was having a lot of trouble finding it. Elfire pulling back, actually. Now, he does have a lot of mothers and has gotten some large proteans. There are now 5, by the way, large proteans on the field. That's going to be really hard, even for a couple of howlers to overcome. And we have a bastion. We've got a ton of crescents. Let's take a look at the units tab. Keep forgetting that's a thing for some reason. We do have some destructors on the field as well. So this is really basically an unwinnable situation for Mermixer. Unfortunately for him, He took some really critical damage early on. Now he's trying to wheedle his way back into this. He's got 3 extractors now. This one is up. I say he's got 3 extractors now, but I think he's down to 1. There's one running away over there, and potentially another one being built here. So he could have had 4, but that one is about to go down hard. And yeah, 7 to 3. Let's take a look at the resources real quick. Look at the resource disparity. It's significantly higher, of course, for Elfire, who has been basically ahead since that rush was, I would say, largely successful. Now, this extractor is not dead yet. This poor Protean is trying to attack it. While I was focusing on that singular extractor, though, we have a crushing assault here with this Bastion, the Striders, and the Crescents. There are a couple of Howlers. There's really not very much. 16 Howlers. There's more Striders almost than there are Howlers. Howlers are a very potent unit. We do have the Contagious Go upgrade and Channel build up, so the Howlers have their AoE upgrade, and the Destructors have their unresearched it. I think he picked the wrong one. He wanted the AoE one, not the bouncing one. I don't even know where the Destructors are at this point, though. They're dancing around down here. They got stuck. But yeah, that was too much for poor Mermixer. He lost all of his... no, there's 1 extractor left, and it was being damaged. All right, here we are with round 2. Elfire is, of course, up by 1 point. I think I may have misspoken a moment ago. Now, this is Edge of Winter, so Elfire is at the bottom, and Mermixer is at the top. Edge of Winter is, to my recollection, a very strongly Goo-favored map. Now, that being said, this is the center of the map is really where the action is, and we have this Mimic already taking pot shots at this Mama. There's also, due to the travel distance from the player's start location, a bit of an economic hit that the player has to take to get here. Both mothers are in the middle. He's putting all his eggs in one basket. So yeah, we've got initial advents coming right up. We have both of those extractors right in the main base. I'm pretty sure Mermixer knows what's coming, knows the potential for Goo aggression on this map. 4 advents and 2 extractors already. Pretty sure we're going to see these Mamas save up to produce 2 additional mothers for, obviously, 4. So I think it's a matter of just kind of waiting for the players to execute their strategy. I do wonder a bit about this line production. Oh, yeah, we've got 2 of them sold off. Usually the Shroud like to build in circles thanks to their amplifier. So I don't know if he's gonna, if he sold those or canceled those rather to replace them or just to be able to continue doing economy and production. There's a extractor coming up there. He's going for the quick location rather than the safe one. I do like this little corner here. You see Goo do interesting things with this, and it's a more interesting space than you'd think it would be. Got constant scouting going on. We do have that 4th advent coming back up. The 3rd extractor will help. We have all 4 mothers on the center of the map. They have enough resources banked up that the Mimic is not going to really slow them down too much. Nice dancing there with the mothers grabbing the catalyst vents. So far, it is 7 clashers to just the 1 drover. No unit production yet for the Goo. That first small Protean, the second small Protean does come out. So I think we're going to see something very similar to what happened in the last match. There is an amplifier coming up. It's going to be able to hit these 3. These other 2 advents are not, obviously, within that amplifier radius. to 4 small proteans at this point. This is the most, like, hurry up and wait match of Grey Goo I've seen. Very interesting using this Advent to block the path here. I think that is pretty cool, pretty clever. Single clasher, just chillin' like you do. Very interesting. Instead of coming the direct route, Elfire is sending these drovers around the side that just got blocked off by an Advent. He does see this, I think. I'm not sure if Mermixer saw any of that. But yeah, the Clasher Ball is fairly large. Another Advent coming up. This one boosted 33 drovers to 14 clashers. That is going to be a super tough fight, is the technical term for that, for Mermixer. And already we've got some Striders there in the back to capitalize on this if there's a one fight for the Goo. Now we do have a couple of Howlers this time, which may change the calculus a little bit. The Howler is actually not in the best position. It got taken out almost immediately, which is not ideal. The other cool thing about Drovers that we don't see about the Howlers is they are able to attack while moving, so they are able to catch up to these Howlers and take them out. Another 2 Howlers, however. The Drovers really easily cleaned up that Clasher Ball. Yeah, the ability to fire while moving is devastatingly powerful in early infantry fights, especially against the Shroud, as we see here. So, what is this? Why is there a siren already? What is the purpose of that? I don't know if that was a misclick or if he was thinking he was going to have to, for some reason, fight crescent shots. I'm mystified. But yeah, the extractors are going down. One of them already down, another one on its way. Mermixer is, so far in this series, taking a beating. Now, of course, this map was strongly Goo favored already, so I don't think it's that much of a surprise that this one in particular went to Elfire. The last one, Elfire's aggression really paid off. We have an aversion field somewhere, or had briefly an aversion field somewhere. A single Howler just, there he goes. He's dancing his little skippy feet over. And I think that's all she wrote as Mermixer drops out. So 2 wins for Elfire at this point, and of course there's only been 2 matches, so we can't put a point on the board for our Shroud player anyway. Alright, here we are in round 3 of the Faction Showdown, Barca's Bayou. Again, at the bottom left is Mermixer, our blue Shroud, and as our blue Goo at the top left is Elfire. Barca's Bayou is an interesting one. This one, not great spawns, I don't think, for Mermixer, seeing as it's close spawn. Not the very close spawn, which is this one, but not the cross map, which would be ideal. Elfire having to hold his 7-month-old baby while playing. More power to you, man. I have 4 kids, and it's been a while since I've had to hold a 7-month-old while playing anything, but let me tell you, it is not ideal for competitive. Mermixer is feeling a little spicy right now. Has taken 2 hits on the chin, and actually, what the heck? I don't know if he's got a strategy here. Maybe he's deciding to play really aggressively somehow, but yeah, that extractor is right in the Goo main. Maybe he didn't see. We have 3 extractors already, so a little bit of a different build for Mermixer. He's going more economy heavy. I think he maybe assumes he's gone cross spawns. I didn't see if the Mimic actually saw where the Goo was. Another extractor coming up. 4 already. very interesting. So there's some great goo spots on this one. The center, of course, is prime territory, and that Mimic, I think, does scout the mother there, so he knows that one of the mamas is in the middle. We have 2 up here in the north. This is, of course, another great spot for the goo with those close catalyst vents to get that extra resources banked up. Yeah, already at 4. Oh my god, he's just going nuts. I think he's just figures, hey, if he doesn't rush me, I get to win from my economy. And yeah, this is wild. He's building his base somewhere else. This is something I don't see a lot of Shroud do, actually. So each faction in Grey Goo has a very different relationship to the map. You know, in this map, humans are really confined to whatever plateau they start on. Beta can always build everywhere, and of course the Goo laugh at the idea of cliffs and terrain for the most part. But the Shroud, each extractor expands the build radius from around their entity, and I don't think I can show you in this, but that allows them over time to build further and further away from their entity, which is, I think, pretty neat. You see them build aversion fields a lot. They can build them, I think, anywhere they have vision, not restricted to their build radius, but yeah, so you occasionally see something like this where you have some sort of base that is away from the start location, but this is having the entire base there is interesting to me. So it's 6 mamas to 5 extractors. I think we had at least 1 taken out. Now it's 4. Another extractor going to be taken out. It's going to be tough going as Mermixer loses those extractors. Now, that being said, we have a significant clasher force here, and there are a decent number of Striders, not nearly enough to take out the clashers at this point, but also none of them are in the right spots, so these clashers are able to come in here and start dealing damage to the mothers. This one, I was going to say one possibly being used for offense, but yeah, this mother is, and look at all those banked up resources too. That's going to be terrible if Elfire loses this. That's a lot of potential resources that are going down the drain, and there they go. Now, we do have Drovers and Striders coming in here to mix this up, to fight this. However, we are adding Howlers as well, and this is a fairly established Clasher Ball, and Elfire had the lost, quote-unquote, mining time by having to run those mamas out of the center. So definitely a good spot for Mermixer to be in. That being said, he's still down to 4 extractors. I think he might have been down to 3. There's another one. So he's got the 5th coming back up. Major engagement going on down here. Striders and Drovers versus the Clashers. The Striders and Drovers are able to take a couple of pot shots. Building block with the Advent, always useful. Fighting into this aversion field is really bad for our Goo player. Oh my gosh, that is a hilarious wall, by the way. I love that Petroglyph decided to have a wall that pushes things away. Very hilarious. That is going to be a pretty much total rout for Elfire, and whenever you lose your entire army, even as Goo, it's pretty rough. Now, Elfire on the back of this is going to be able to remax, but this is one way we do see Goo lose, is throwing armies away. So the population is heavily in favor of Mermixer, who was able to kind of turn this into a macro match. Elfire kind of has given up the momentum to Mermixer at this point. Now, we do have a little assault team of Striders coming in here to pick off extractors, which is good, but you know, I keep saying this in this series, you know, there's no way to capitalize on this. We do have some crescents, but I don't think that, honestly, I'd rather at this point have a giant army than a bunch of a small number of high tier units. Now we do have some drovers coming out to bulk up the army. Oh, but oh my god, the crescents are being caught right out in the open. That crescent barely has time to react. This other one just, oh my god, the Howlers target attacked it. They control attacked it to take it out. This mother is not going to, of course, be able to kill those Howlers and Clashers. It's chasing them down. Now that there's some drovers in the mix, it actually might be able to survive. Yeah, it's going to be able to survive, and the drovers are going to take this out. So we've got the destructors. Let's take a quick look at upgrades. We do have channel build up for the Howlers, nothing for the destructors yet. But yeah, it's a precarious situation for our goo. We are 5-7, so Mermixer is definitely in the better position at this point. I think it's still technically winnable for Elfire, but he is really, really not where he wants to be at this point. And unless he takes a really good fight or two, it's going to be hard to turn this around. The entity is being repaired. These 4 Striders are being really cheeky. But honestly, I don't know that he needs it unless it stops building production to lose it. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I've ever seen this specific scenario in the game before. This is going to be cleaned up, I think. No, we've just got some pre-splitting going on. So the Crescents make this a little bit less of a completely one-sided fight, and the Bastion, of course, is there to taunt these enemies. But, oh my god, did you see the damage that thing took? Oh, Lord. So yeah, even cleaning that army up, losing the Bastion was not great. But yeah, even cleaning the army up is tough. The Howlers are really playing to the Goo's weakness. The Goo with those tending to have those smaller health pools at cost. We do have a lot of Crescents now, actually. 6, it looks like. But yeah, 27 Howlers at this point. The entity actually got cleaned up, but this army is going to run right into a big wall of Howlers, and yeah, not ideal for our group player. We have Sirens starting to come out. How many Sirens are there at this point? 2 to deal with those Crescent shots, and Mox starting to make their appearance. We have a Zenith here doing triple Mock production. So yeah, we've got the double amplifiers coming out, and yeah, the Mocks are gonna make this really tough. We have a Radiant for protection, but yeah, nothing to stop the Mocks from just eating. Though they did just blow themselves on, I think, Drovers or Radiants or something. So a little bit of miscontrol there for Mermixer. Yeah, really hard spot for Elfire to be in. Gonna lose another mother post-haste. Huge army disparity. Chimes for scouting are starting to come out now, according to the Chimes as well. And the Siren, I don't know what the specific relationship there is with the Siren and the Goo Crescent. A tremendous number of Tempests coming out for Elfire. I think that's probably too many. Even just like 1 or 2 fewer of those probably would have been much better. Unless he gets the upgrade that lets them become artillery. Soothing Pulse for aversion fields, so he's healing his armies on the back line while he is out of combat. another production base being set up here. The entity is back online, so this is good that Elfire is attacking this. I don't know what these Striders are going to be able to do here specifically, but we have a nasty little force here coming out to take out more mothers, and there's nothing to defend this. This army is out of position. Plus, it's just really the whole army is a couple of crescents. The Tempests can't do much unless there's flying units. And let me just take a look while that mama is it's being attacked. And there's an extractor being placed. What is the 8s to 7? So Bastion coming out at exactly the right time to save these crescents a little bit. Now these Howlers can be force fired around the taunt, I believe. Actually, maybe they can't. But Bastion's protection fades. We still have like double the pop cap for our Shroud player. There's Mox taking out that army, except for like 2 Striders that are going to be cleaned up pretty quick, even by a fresh Howler. Yeah, this one is not going Elfire's way. Mermixer got to do what he wanted, and now it looks like Elfire's kind of in a position where he is... it's basically impossible for him to remax his army to the point where he is able to compete with Mermixer's production. Mermixer has a bit of an economic edge due to the income numbers, although that's kind of balanced out a little bit, it looks like. But there's nothing really that Elfire has that's going to be able to turn this around. The Crescents, if used very carefully, might help correct an army disparity, but not 42 to 146. That is brutal. And this army continually is out of position. All these Tempests are over here. Not able to assist in ground. Basically, they do have catalytic barrage, so it can be used for artillery. I do like this unit a lot. Almost 200 supply for almost 200 supply already for Mermixer, and now Shrieks coming out. Elfire's units being picked off. That mama going down. Actually managed to take something with it, so that's a little... Oh, it's still alive, kind of. No, there it goes. I don't know what's going on with the Tempests. It looks like they're supposed to have their catalytic barrage, but they're not. They're not attacking. 5 mamas to 7 extractors. Another mama about to go down. This is what we tend to think of when we think of goo matches. No offense to Elfire specifically. It's just, you know, throughout the course of my casting career, this is the sort of situation that goo tends to find themselves in. Now, this is clearly Elfire being outclassed and outmassed by Mermixer. And it's not a situation where you have these, you know, weird situations of being picked off mother by mother, but, oh, man. That's brutal. The Shriek is right there, taking out that mama as well, and Elfire GG's out. That was a tough one to watch. Mermixer just kind of did everything right? Definitely shows the power of the goo rush where you can get in there and kind of clean your opponent out with drovers and then just hold it that way until you're able to come back later and close it out. The first 2 matches went that way, and Mermixer sealed this one because that didn't happen. So Mermixer was able to keep up his economy, keep up his production, and not being cut off. Elfire kind of stumbled in the mid-game and was unable to catch back up after that. So, yeah, tough spot for our Goo player to be in. Win 1 on the board for Mermixer. We'll be right back with round 4 of round 3 of the Faction Showdown. All right, here we are in match 4 of round 3 of the Faction Showdown. Elfire on the left at the bottom. On the bottom right is Mermixer. Elfire still holding the baby, which maybe maybe helps explain why he had a tough time in the last match. That's not the ideal way to play competitive RTS, let me tell you from experience. Now, all of my kids are a little older than that now, but like I said, last match, I have vivid memories of doing that with my kids with these little firefly lights. That's delightful. We'll have to see what each player is going to do this time. Elfire looks like he's keeping one mother in his start location, the other one coming out to the middle. Now, like our last 2 matches, the center is a good spot for the Goo to be. Unlike Barca's Bayou, this one is entirely uphill. So you've got a hill here and then a hill here, and this is all at the tippy top. Elfire not actually going there. There he goes. I was wondering what he was waiting for. Coming up to the center there. So that's, I think that this catalyst node and this one share a river underground. Same thing on this side. I do like the idea of catalyst rivers, but it never seemed to really work out the way I was hoping it would. Anyway, we got a little bit of Drover versus Mimic going on here. Drover, I think, will be able to get away unless it mismicros badly. Mimic is swinging around the other way. Elfire, I think, on 3 mothers. We've got 4 extractors coming up already, 2 in the main base, 1 over here in the center, and 1 up top. The Drover has found the northern one. Looks like from the resources in the top right corner, it's going to be a little while before Mermixer is able to produce any more. Actually, we have a 5th coming out as well. So Mermixer's basically got the same playbook he did last time. Elfire isn't being aggressive, so Mermixer feels comfortable to just build a crap ton of extractors. Now moving into the production phase of his economic plan. We've got 4 advents and an amplifier coming up. It remains to be seen what Elfire's plan is. Now, in theory, Elfire would be able to very quickly get to 8 or 10 mothers and be in a great economic position. At the least, he'd be able to go up to 6 or 7. But it looks like he's transitioning to small protein production for his part. We've got drovers going around the entire map looking for hidden extractors. We've got extractor kill teams already coming out. So I think this strategy makes sense for Elfire, so long as he's able to have it pay off. But we've already got really good production coming out from Mermixer. This is the weirdest barracks I've ever seen. So the number of units produced by the barracks is dependent on the number of amplifiers. Where's that other amplifier, the double amplifier right there? It's just this one misses this amplifier's radius by a little bit, so But yeah, so 2 amplifiers is 3 build queues for the Advent. It's just, yeah, it's a wild tech scheme and barracks. I think already 1 or 2 of the extractors might have gone down. However, Elfire did slow down his economy to do this, and I mean it's paying off. He's killed most of the extractors, but we've got a lot of howlers. It looks like this time Mermixer did not go for a bunch of clashers. He went right into mass howlers. These striders are attacking the entity, and they took some damage before Elfire reacted. But yeah, 68 supply of howlers is definitely worth more than the equivalent supply in striders. So right now, while Mermixer is contained, this would be Elfire's best chance to capitalize on his economic expansion. Mermixer has a decent amount of income, a decent amount of money backed up, even if his income is lower right now. Now he's backed into a corner. We do have a lot of drovers, but they are taking serious damage from the howlers on the way in. I don't know that too many of them even got there. This is a bad fight for Elfire right now. He is attacking the wrong things. He had some pot shots going on the extractor and the entity, and the supply flipped dramatically a second ago with, let's see, yeah, channel buildup is, I think, done there. These drovers might be able to help a little bit, but now they were just one shot by the howlers. So this is a decent critical mass of howlers, and there's enough economy that he can come out here and recoup some of his economic damage that he took with 2 extractors on the way at this point. And like I said, this is a big army for this stage in the game, and he has a lot of supply where he's able to throw this away to try to make something happen. Elfire is, instead of fighting, choosing to back out of this. I think based on this, it looks like he's going to go for tier 3 tech, or he's going to he was trying to split into a bunch of mothers. I do think part of this comes from him being forced to hold the baby while he's playing. We did see a split out there with a large protean, so crescent's starting to come out. Going from 4 mamas to 3 is a really big economic hit. We've got some more crescents and some radiants. That's interesting, I guess, because they see up cliffs. I think the radiants can both see up cliffs and into brush. Am I right about that? At the very least, they can see into brush. I'm not 100% sure about seeing up cliffs, but yeah, this is very painful, and I'm not entirely sure what to attribute to. My God, where are we at with the? Oh, he's putting aversion fields down. That's super annoying. But yeah, back up to 5 extractors already, so that economic damage was able to be recouped by Mermixer. So this is the sort of thing I actually do like to see, and I'm glad we get to see it in this game, where Mermixer was pushed back into his base, took some critical economic damage with his extractors, and was able to use his buildings as a defense to be able to make those howlers pay for themselves many times over. Now this howler ball is coming right for these crescents, and if the crescents don't react in time, they're going to evaporate, which is going to take any little advantage that Elfire might have had, and both of those shots with another crescent goes down. Losing 2 crescents for nothing is really bad. Those shots keep whiffing. That one does manage to land, but just the one is not enough. Seems like Elfire is having a really hard time managing the game with one hand. The other is carrying his infant son. or daughter. I don't remember. Infant child, we'll just say. But yeah, so 24 supply to 130 is really hard to come back from, especially now that he's down to 4 mothers. Yeah, that is quite the supply discrepancy, if you ask me. 4 mothers is not quite yet 3. That actually helped quite a bit. Those crescents killing most of that army. Now these clashers are going to come back for revenge. These drovers were misrallied, so the Mama actually coming out to save the crescents, and the crescents are still alive. But yeah, losing the mother was pretty painful. And now we've kind of gone the other way around, where the Goo player is way behind. Now, a Mother Goo is more than just a barracks. It's more than just a refinery. It's basically this is an entire base. It's an entire base. It functionally is multiple factories and a refinery, and it's a lot to lose one. It's a very, very powerful economic hit to lose a single Mother Goo. So this one is being rallied over here, it looks like, and Elfire is missing. He has not yet seen, he has not yet reacted to the fact that there's a base over here. So this is going to go poorly for this 5th mother that showed up over here. It's yeah. So as successful as first those are hilarious. Yeah, successful as some of this harass has been for Elfire, there's just a real stunning discrepancy in population that is making this pretty tough to envision a way out of for Elfire. Elfire again attacking structures instead of armies, and this is not the sort of scale where you want to make that mistake. Another Mama going down. So this is between the Grey Goo community, but I feel really bad for Elfire in the situation that he's currently in with the whole baby thing, and I'm wondering if I feel bad. I feel like he was almost owed a rematch or something. But yeah, so we've got some real economic comeback for Mermixer, a real shift dramatically back the other way. Now it's 4 mothers to 8 extractors. Elfire again having to GG out of the game. So yeah, earlier on in the series we saw some severe economic damage taken that was not recoverable. Mermixer in the first match had managed to get out like 1 or 2, or a very small number of howlers anyway, and it was not enough to overcome what Elfire was doing. But I don't know if it's the baby that was being held, or just the lack of aggression, or Mermixer kind of like, getting out of his yips. A bit of the yips, and now he's gotten over it. But yeah, he was able to come back from having only 2 extractors and that small howler ball, a moderately sized howler ball. Took a really good fight, and he was able to capitalize on that, while Elfire kind of flailed a little bit after his army was taken apart by that initial howler ball in this match. So really exciting series so far. A lot of dramatic swings across the matches. Some of the individual matches have not been the best, but overall I think the series has held up pretty well. Anyway, 2 wins on the board for Elfire, 2 wins on the board for Mermixer. We are down to the last match. The winner of this next match takes the loser's bracket in the faction showdown. Goo versus Shroud. I'll see you in a sec. All right, we are back with the final match of the loser's bracket in the Grey Goo faction showdown. Elfire, our blue goo, is traveling toward the top center of the map, while on the top right we have Mermixer, the blue Shroud. It has been scouted. This location of this entity has been scouted. Meanwhile, we have an extractor here, which is going to not yet tell Mermixer what's going on. So the mother has enough vision range to see what's going on with this extractor and avoid it, actually. So Elfire is coming down to the center here. I wonder what's going to happen with that. He's not showing signs that he's being super aggressive. Meanwhile, we have the same old extractors being placed in weird corners of the map for Mermixer. So this is something that long-term can actually help, and we've actually seen it in this series, help our Shroud player not lose, basically, where he can just hide these off in corners and force the Goo player to expend excessive time and energy to run around trying to pick them off, which is great if Elfire is ahead, but in the situation like this where he is not ahead, we've actually seen it sap his concentration in at least one other match where he was outrunning, picking off the extractors, and he thinned his army out and was unable to take fights at that point. So yeah, really interesting approach here. I do like this a lot from Mermixer. I think it really forces Elfire to play in a strange way that does not help him directly contribute to a win. Now, really interesting, this mother is being used offensively with a couple of Striders to take out this extractor. The extractor cannot get away and is being damaged by both the mother and the Striders, and now some Drovers as well. So there it goes. It's been taken out. So that's a nice little win there for Elfire. Although it looks like Mermixer just continues to produce extractors. The other advantage of this is with these extractors, he's able to hide his actual production, which we've seen in other matches, how that has managed to help. Another extractor being targeted here, and interestingly enough, Mermixer has nothing at this point, so there's definitely an advantage for Elfire right now, who is able to produce units, and the Mother Goo itself also does damage things. So this extractor is going to go down as well. Mermixer actually is in a really tough spot because he's got a tremendous amount of resources and income, but no way to spend it, and the entity is actually now under fire, while Elfire is able to come in here and continue to earn money so we can produce additional units. And again, I don't know what the situation is with the entity and being able to produce things. Not sure if how that affects things at all. But we do have a bunch of advents coming up out of the ground here. Or I don't know what the significance of this is. We've got this wispy smoke, and it looks like they're growing. I don't know if it's like metallic, or they're being teleported in from another plane of existence, or what the exact significance of that smoke is. It is a little unclear exactly how the Shroud work with their crystal magic technology. This base has been scouted, and yeah, it's 37 supply to 22. So do we have any additional? We've got the entity coming back up. We've got a lot of Drovers and Striders and some Howlers and Clashers already coming out. The Drovers not being able to help very much. Actually, the Mimic coming in to help out a little bit. So this should be a sure win for Elfire, but the buildings muddle it a little bit. And we also do have, so this extractor is being taken out, this extractor is being whittled down. That one is still okay. 5 extractors to 3 mothers, so there's actually decent economic evidence that if Mermixer is able to win this, he actually might have an advantage. So this rush is going okay right now for our Goo player, but like many things that Goo does, it's a little fragile at the moment. However, on the back of this, we do have Striders coming out to pick off the rest of these extractors. We have additional waves of Goo support coming in from these Drovers. We do have a couple of Clashers back here, but it's going to be really, really hard for poor Mermixer to actually make this happen. Now, we do have additional advents being produced over here. Why not while he's got the resources? Let this be taken out, whittle these down slightly as they get taken out, and you know, rebuild on the back of it, which seems to be what he's trying to do at this point. Actually, it seems to be working out fairly well for him. This extractor has not yet taken any damage. This one is still it's taking actually healing at the same rate that it's dying, so very interesting. This mother is going to have to move pretty soon, or it's going to be able to be taken out by these forces. So it looks like Mermixer is not yet taking advantage of this. He's stopped production here. No, he's actually picking it back up. So it's really interesting that like we've got this simultaneously like really overwhelming but really fragile position for elfire right now. These units are being picked off pretty much as soon as they're trained, but elfire is struggling more than you'd think to clean this up. This advent is being taken out. I think it looks like elfire is going to be able to clean this up okay off of 3 mothers. So wow. Here it is. Elfire won the Shroud versus Goo matchup. Which I don't know exactly how that works. I think Mermixer may be out of the tournament at this point. I think it's this, and then we have human versus beta, and then I guess the winner of this and the winner of that are our final. So it looks like elfire may have secured himself a place in the final, question mark. I'll have to double check with the tournament organizers to see how they plan that all to work out. But there you have it, folks. We just saw a bunch of Goo wins. Across 5 matches, it actually averages out. You know, a lot of these matches don't make a good solo because it's, you know, 4 or 5 or, you know, 7 minutes long like this one was. But yeah, so the Goo are capable of winning. It's just the longer the match goes on, the more their fragility shows. So they're pretty strong early on, and if you can kind of, you know, handle their fragility, they can be crazy, cuckoo crazy. Again, technical term, cuckoo crazy there. I'm sorry, I'm super sleep deprived, and apparently my faculties of speech are rapidly deteriorating. I'm super sleep deprived and cracking myself up by, I don't know, inventing words. So anyway, to summarize, there you have it, a bunch of Goo wins, most of them in sub 10-minute matches where the other player never really had a chance due to the intense aggression. But the Goo can win. They are really strong. Like I said a moment ago, it's just, you know, these really long matches. It doesn't play to the Goo's strength, and it really emphasizes their weaknesses, where they have like 12 individual things, and each individual thing is like an entire base for one of the other factions. Like one Mother Goo is like 3 advents worth of production, basically. plus at least one extractor worth of income, plus it's a combat unit, plus etc. etc. You get the picture. But yeah, all of that to say, here we go. Round 3 of the Faction Showdown is complete with Goo winning. I will catch you whenever they get me the replays for the human versus beta bracket, and we can watch Hendronimus and Exet hash it out on the battlefield. So before we go, I have actually one more thing to talk about, and I'll catch you in that segment in just a second. I gotta get it queued up outside the video. So at the end of this segment, I don't know how often I'm going to do this. I don't want to toot my own horn a bunch of times. That's not really what I'm trying to be about with the Wayward Strategy brand. But I'm really excited. I'm really proud to be a part of this, and I thought that I would take a second to talk about it very briefly. So I have, for the past 2 or 3 years, been the lead game designer on this game that we finally get to announce. We finally got to announce fairly recently, Tempest Rising. I'm tremendously honored to be a part of this game and to have been able to work on the design of the factions and units and tech trees and all of that. I'm really excited about it. I'm really proud of it. And I really hope you at least give it a look and check it out. Over the next couple of months, we'll be revealing a lot of details about the gameplay and the design. And like I said, I'd really like for anyone who follows my content to at least give it a look, give us some feedback, tell us what you think. And yeah, it would my pleasure to be a part of this, and my pleasure to be able to share this with you. And I really hope that once it is playable for you guys, that you give it a shot. And I really, truly, sincerely hope you enjoy it. I've been pouring my heart and soul into this, and I really hope it's going to be something that you find entertaining. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for engaging with the things that I do. And like I said, I'm not going to be pushing this all the time. I'm not going to be shilling it. Full disclosure, I am absolutely building this game to be a game that I want to play all of the time and, commentate. So don't be surprised when this comes out if I'm casting matches and stuff. And I will probably be sharing a little bit more info as we get closer to the actual launch of the game. But I don't want to put this in everyone's face all the time. I'm tacking it on to the end of a long video. But yeah, so thank you for being a part of what I do, for watching my commentaries of, whatever it is that you come to watch me for, if it's Grey Goo or Dawn of War 2 or Universe at War or Command & Conquer, Kane's Wrath, or even Command & Conquer Remastered. I believe that there may be something in Tempest Rising. If you enjoy any of those games, I believe there may be something in Tempest Rising that you would find enjoyable as well. And I really hope that you do. And anyway, thank you very much for watching and for taking the time to listen to me ramble a little bit about this thing that I'm a part of. So have a great evening, and I'll catch you next time.